Warning! The following podcast may contain language and subject matter not suitable for all ages or everyone. If you don't like what you're listening to, please press stop. In this episode of the Changwoner Podcast.
I have no clue. I never considered being a teacher when I was in college. I remember in high school, they just seemed like they had the hardest lives. I never wanted to do that.
Screw that. Do you remember the turtle on the roof? Tell them the turtle on the roof story.
That was so odd.
So we said we were going to talk a little bit about, is it an app? Tinder?
Tinder, yeah.
It's great. I love it.
So what exactly is Tinder for the layman?
All right, so let's hear about your Tinder experiences in Korea.
Me?
Yeah. You told me at one point there was a guy who was like a foot fetish guy or something.
Oh, leave
Let's
him
hear
alone.
about that.
You know, it's not statistically, it's not that uncommon.
All right,
I don't think there's anything wrong.
Let's hear it though. This is what we want to hear. This is the
Leave him
juicy stuff.
You're tuned in to the Changwoner, the podcast coming to you from Changwon City, South Korea. With your hosts, Scott, Adam, and Phil.
It's the Changwoner Podcast, the podcast that brings you some of the people living here and working in South Korea, and in Changwon in particular. I'm Scott, one of the hosts. Sitting across from me is Phil. Phil, how's it going?
It's going great, Scott.
And sitting beside him is Adam. Adam, how's things?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
And this week we've got a special guest on the show. We've got Rebekah Calhoun. Is that correct? Calhoun. And in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about maybe Tinder. And we're going to talk about long-distance communication, maybe with, staying in contact with people back home. And a little after that, maybe some co-teachers and possibly a golden tooth. Ooh. This week's guest is Rebekah. Rebekah, how's it going?
Honored to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, thanks for coming. So let's start off with Rebekah. Where are you originally from?
Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York, really?
Yeah, I always just say New York to Korean people because it sounds more impressive.
Actually, I lived quite a long time in Niagara Falls.
Really?
And been to Buffalo quite a few times on the Canadian side.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
Really? I've seen Buffalo, so that's quite a weird comment to say.
Bam.
I love my city.
Let me ask you about the buffalo wings. Are they any good?
They are chicken.
What's the difference between a buffalo wing and a wing that you get in, say, Toronto?
Well, they're like much buffalo. They're
Buffalo-y?
they're a mammal.
Are they made from buffaloes?
Are they a pachyderm? Are they related to elephants?
Anyway, so I've been to Buffalo quite a few times. Usually to Buffalo Sabre games. I always go over there to watch games, say when my team, Boston, or somebody plays there. But so when did you first come to Korea?
In May.
This
2016.
2016 May? So almost a year.
Getting on that. Went really fast.
Yeah, time goes by fast.
It does, because it's not real. It doesn't feel real.
Yeah. So what brought you to Korea?
I have no clue. I never considered being a teacher when I was in college. I remember in high school, they just seemed like they had the hardest lives. I never wanted to do that.
Screw that.
It's just so much work, and kids are horrible. Well, at least in Buffalo there. But Korean
Buffalo kids.
So you don't remember exactly what made you decide to get out of Buffalo and come over here?
Terrible economy. I had 7 jobs after college and did horrible stuff. And then it just seemed, it's a no-brainer. If you have the opportunity, you do whatever it takes to get here.
So it's more just finding a decent job. And were you into traveling? Did you want to travel?
Never traveled before. Never been out.
Was it something you wanted to do, or?
I definitely wanted to see the world before death. I guess.
Because it's better to see it after death, I think. I just want to be cremated and blown around.
Have you done a lot of traveling since arriving in Korea?
We went to Vietnam. I went with a friend of mine named Adam. We went to Vietnam and Japan, and I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. I was worried I was going to lose my passport. I'm just I'm definitely losing my passport.
Do you remember the turtle on the roof? Tell them the turtle on the roof story.
That was so odd.
So we were staying at this hostel, and you could eat breakfast on the roof. And we went up there one night because we were bored, and we had dinner there. And then I looked over and I was like, there's a turtle on the roof over there. And it was a turtle.
Well, we didn't know it was a turtle at first. We saw something something tiny. This is the middle of a city. It's an urban area. Like there's a huge congested like city, and there was just this tiny speck that was just moving back and forth very slowly on top of this roof, like a flat roof. And we didn't. Do you remember that guy? We were staring at it, and we were like, "How did that?
It's a turtle.
How did it climb? Because we never, for some reason, and we never considered that perhaps it was placed there by a human being. For some reason, we were immediately like, how did it get up there?
Yeah.
It climbed.
Maybe it lives up there.
How big was the
owner
turtle?
keeps it up.
No, they took it down
It was a
eventually.
normal turtle
like
size.
they put it up there to exercise.
That
it.
was the only conclusion we could come to. Do you remember that British dude? Because we were staring at something and we were freaking out, and this guy behind us at the bar he was like, "Oh, did you notice the turtle?"
Did you see the turtle on the roof?
Oh my god, those are the best accents I've ever heard.
You see that fucking turtle on the roof?
I'm not good with accents at all. I can't mimic.
It could be, like you said, exercise. Or maybe like turtles won't walk off things, so it's kind of like a barrier fence for it.
Exactly. Like that's the only
It'll
thing.
just walk, gets to an edge, turns around.
That's all it did
Almost
too.
like one of those floor vacuum robot things.
Yes.
Roomba.
Yeah. I'm glad you know.
Roomba.
I'm glad you know.
Roomba.
So we said we were going to talk a little bit about, is it an app? Tinder?
Tinder, yeah.
It's great. I love it.
So what exactly is Tinder for the layman?
You just it's even simpler than Facebook in the sense that you just like choose if you like somebody. You have like a short bio. You can say whatever you want, and some people say nothing, and some people are like,
Yeah, you can easily link it to your Facebook profile and
Instagram too.
Yeah, and like it basically shows you the people in the area who are willing to go out for a date or something. You know?
Yeah, that's a cool aspect of it. Is it can find the people closest to you. Like it shows you how many miles or kilometers.
Yeah, so like when you're traveling and you're hooked up to Wi-Fi, let's say like you're in Tokyo or something, it'll be like do like a radar thing, and it'll be like, all right, these are the women or these are the men in your area.
You can do men, or you can choose like men or women. You can.
Yeah.
It's not like Grindr is like the and what is the
Well, Grindr's like the gay version of Tinder, right?
Yeah, but you can also change your preference to.
There's also another one that I've heard about called Thrinder.
Oh yeah,
And that's like when you're a couple and you want to have a threesome. And like,
That's a thing, though?
yeah, that's a thing, man.
I've
yeah.
heard,
Do you have?
I've heard
It's amazing.
I've heard people mention Tinder. Is that the thing? Like I've heard you swap right for one thing, swap left for another,
Swipe,
It's
yeah.
easy, like-
Swipe.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Swap, swipe.
So you swap, and there's also like there's another option where you can like super like someone. So you'd be like, I'm really, really interested in you, you know?
So how does it work? You just say you like somebody, then what?
If
They match with you,
What
if
does that mean?
they're interested in you as well, then you can like message them and be like, hey, like what's going on? You know, like you want to meet up for dinner or something, you know?
Very, very confusing because I thought it was people in your area that weren't interested in
that you can see.
just sadness.
Yeah.
Could be a good app, actually.
Terrible.
All right, so let's hear about your Tinder experiences in Korea.
Me?
Yeah. You don't have to get to. I know that's a very personal question, but I mean, like,
Well, you know.
Is this something that you used before?
No,
coming to
definitely.
Korea?
Like I was not.
You
I'm in a
started
very,
in Korea?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I live in a very rural area. Like I have to travel for like 30 minutes on a bus to the closest.
have you met any creeps?
There are people that have been extremely amusing. Like so.
All right, let's hear
entertaining.
about that. Let's hear about that. That's all I want to hear about.
You're sitting
I was-
across from one, actually.
Yeah, yeah, I'm right here, baby.
That would be a good app. Finding creeps in your area.
All right, let's hear about some creeps.
That totally exists. You know that exists.
Let's hear about like the do's and not do's,
Not
Sometimes
do's and don'ts.
it's just you're here for like months at a time. There's only so many days that you can spend in your apartment reading. I've read like 7 novels before I got Tinder.
No, I'm talking about Tinder, but like
You could.
you told me at one point.
That's the frustrating part. Is like sometimes you go out and people are too shy to be at the bar, and also like
You told me at one point there was a guy who was like a foot fetish guy or something.
leave.
Let's
him
hear about
alone.
that.
You know, it's not statistically, it's not that uncommon.
All right,
I don't
let's
think
hear it,
there's
though.
anything wrong.
Let's
with
hear it though. This is what we want to hear. This is the
Leave
juicy
him
stuff.
alone. To the defense of the foot people.
I researched
Was he like,
this,
send me your toes?
but
Ooh,
he's
totally.
so nice. pretty nice. I considered it for a second. I was like, maybe it's not good.
What's the worst thing that could happen?
It's not hurting anybody.
Yeah, so feet. So my feet are on the
I don't
internet.
get it. There's a lot of things that
I don't get it either.
Like in the world.
Why feet?
Because they're the farthest thing from like a sexual organ that I can think of.
Farthest or furthest?
I don't know. Sorry.
Maybe the farthest. I think you're right with the
I
farthest.
can English goodly.
But it could be worse. You could meet the guy and end up with no feet. It could be a souvenir on his wall right now.
That's true.
That app is going off again. The creep.
I wonder.
The feet.
They should have a feeder. Feet Tinder.
Feet me.
Feet book instead of Facebook.
It's probably out there. Footer.
They'd be like, I've seen those corns before. I know that toe.
I started to get insecure. I was like, but my feet aren't that cute though. Like it could be. Do you think that if you were into feet, you'd like long toes or like short toes, or would you like them like
little sausages?
What about what people have?
Toes that look like fingers.
Ooh, like with deformed hands.
Like they could just like crawl like this.
Whatever. So anyway, Tinder.
All right, back to we're getting off the rails here.
You were here for a few months or more. We're getting bored and decided to try out Tinder, basically.
Yeah, I needed a feel-good moment in my day, you know.
So you knew about Tinder before?
I had, but I'd never
used it.
Never needed to, you know, because like,
I'm very popular.
No, what I mean is like you don't. Back home, you're like surrounded by people that share similar interests, and you have your friends, and you're like you meet like I got like two brothers, and like they like so you meet people that are similar to you. It's easy. Like you can go to the bar at home and meet people that have the same values and whatever. But it's like here you go to the bar and there's not a lot of people like that you can relate to.
You can argue that, though. I mean, if you go to a foreigner bar here, the odds are 90% of the people in there are probably teaching English similar to you.
That's true.
In the same situation.
Okay, you're definitely right, and it definitely teaches you something about yourself when you...
And have feet.
Like, no, you never know.
Yeah, I never know. Maybe
there's probably a bunch, like, I've looked it up, and I was like, it's so statistically common that there's, like, a chance that all of us, like, know several people that like feet.
They just don't want to admit it.
Do you have any kinks?
Yeah, I do. It's called a nice
like
guy.
we could say, like, anything here, but, like, you know.
Nice men.
Nice men. There you go. That's a good kink. Mm-hmm. I can agree with that. How about you, Phil?
I like decent men. Did that go out? Men, yeah.
He makes
there you go. Scott?
Kinks? I like the Kinks, the band.
That's a good band.
You really got me.
But anyway.
You got on Tinder, so was it more Korean or foreigner?
Every single day I get like 3 super likes. Remember we mentioned super likes is what you can press. There's like, you can go right and that's yes, and like no is left. And then there's also like a star where you can like super like somebody. And I get Korean men super liking me all the time. And it's like, I obviously don't speak Korean.
Like,
like,
what's the purpose of the super like?
It's you emphasize.
That's where you're like, I really like you.
It's just a motivation. It does feel good. Like it does. Like if somebody's going to super like me, I'm like, wow, they took the time. Well, not that it takes any more time.
It's just they went up instead of.
Yeah, and I think like that's the difference. It's got to be a lot easier. Well, I think it's a lot easier being a woman on Tinder because I think men just it's just like probability, you know. It's just math.
Let's hear your best Tinder date. Which is the best one?
No.
Come on.
Well, Tinder anyway, especially in
You don't
Korea,
have to get into details. But.
It's an English app, right?
Tell us about your Tinder dates. You meet a bunch of Russian
What
women,
would
like,
be a good ideal first Tinder date?
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
I guess definitely like, because sometimes it's weird because sometimes people are just like, I want to fool around. But then there's other people that are like pretend to like want to get to know you. And it's like, it's kind of like you want to like something in the middle where you're like, where they're honest. Mm. And they're like honest about their situation. Or like there's a lot of dudes in the army or like the Navy. And it's like, I haven't felt the warmth of human contact for like months.
Please, just touch me.
Please, I don't care what it takes.
Just hug me. Just hug me. My teddy bear is soaking with my tears.
So there are.
I'm glad it went that way. That could have been.
There are Koreans on this app.
Yeah, but I think I've been told that it's mostly used by foreigners.
I'm just curious, like, because it's probably all in English, like the app
No, you
itself.
you can set your keyboard like on any phone. Like, you can
But
have
I'm
the
just
Hangul.
curious, like I've seen on Facebook, say like Korean men, but they choose the wrong sex. So it comes up as a female, but it's actually a male.
But accident?
Yeah.
It's not like
That's no accident.
Do you see that? Like, let's say, I'm assuming you can choose your preference on Tinder.
I don't know. They're not.
Yeah.
I think it would be probably, if I were a prostitute, that would be a really useful app. That's free.
Well, that's the thing. I have a friend who's Bulgarian, and he lives in Toronto, and he told me, he's like, I don't do Tinder. And I was like, why? He's like, too many prostitutes. And I was like, really? Apparently, like, Toronto Tinder is, like, flooded with prostitutes. So, like, they'll hook up, and they'll be like, yeah, by the way, you owe me, like, $700 or whatever, you know, like, yeah.
Sounds like you've experienced that.
No, it was my Bulgarian friend.
My friend told
My
me.
friend.
Yeah, my friend.
It makes it even more convincing when you add ethnicity. It's my Bulgarian friend.
His name is Sergey. Sergey?
Sergey.
His name is Martin Popov. Okay, I'm not lying.
Not that.
All right. So you live in Jindong, which is a rural school.
Next.
How has that been working for you?
They didn't tell me. I work for EPIC, the English program in Korea.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's I think good
Do you
choice.
like it?
I love it, obviously.
You're finishing soon, though, aren't you?
Just planning on doing 1 year?
So
Yeah.
have
I
you
guess so.
have you enjoyed your year in Changwon City?
Immensely.
Because of Tinder or because
Of me.
There's so many characters. That's the thing is like it takes a lot for a person to come here and teach, I think. So the people that you meet are always really interesting. Like they're no matter where they come from. And they're always different too because it takes all kinds of different strokes.
Different folks rule the world.
That's a saying, right? That's an expression.
It takes you a while to come down to Changwon.
Yeah, it takes forever. But,
Right.
you know, I have to. That's the thing is, like, if they give you extra money to, like, live in a rural area, but it's like you spend that money trying to get, like, you can't just, like, go for, it's like if I want to stay in on a Friday, it's kind of like a way bigger deal because I can't just, like, go to my friend's house. Like,
All right,
book-
next, FaceTiming with family and friends.
Your parents, are they, like, technologically inclined? My dad's almost 70 years old.
My dad's 70 as well.
So when you're doing FaceTime with your family, like, because I've done it with my mother, and she has this weird habit of pointing the camera at, like, her forehead. Like, she doesn't realize how to get in frame. Like, so it's like I'm talking to half of her face. Like, you have that problem.
Honey, can you hear me? Yes, Mom, I can hear you.
Wow, the internet.
I can't see you.
Yeah. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? You have a really good
Do you
story about
remember
this.
that time? This is the kind of thing like do you remember that time that we looked up animals giving birth when we were wasted?
Yeah.
And then the next morning we woke up.
That was in Okinawa, wasn't it?
yeah. And then like when you get drunk and then you like look back at the things that you Googled and you're just like, why did I Google that?
Oh, I gotta hear this though. This story's great. So Rebekah, after lunchtime, she brushes her teeth, and there's a teacher in her school. You gotta finish this.
She's a really glamorous lady. She's like, but she doesn't speak any English, but she's like so nice. She's like, she's a really good, respected teacher. Like I can tell, like people bow. I mean, everybody bows everywhere. But,
Extra bow.
I love bowing. But
too.
she's kind of one of those women that like wears a big ring and a brooch and they're the same color and her like outfit's always match. And it seems like she never
Like
wears
a power pantsuit kind of thing.
Yeah, like and long dresses that just like are very.
Tell me about her hair.
Her hair's always. She's always got like a sparkly thing on there. And
Does she have like a beehive?
Yeah, like not a beehive, but you know the Korean version of like that. Like,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Go on.
She's gorgeous, but like she's always like doesn't know how to express herself to me because she doesn't speak any English, but she's like way more talkative than a lot of my other Korean coworkers that do speak better English, but like I just really like her. But she does this thing where like sometimes I'll go in and fix my makeup or whatever, and she just like stares at me and she's like, oh Rebekah, small face. The first time that she said that, I was like, are you insulting me? Like, is that, I was like, something must be, she's like, no, small size face. And I thought, why? I was like, are you telling me that I look deformed or something? Like, I was so confused. And then, but like I mentioned it to another Korean person, and she was like, "Well, I think all Americans have small face." And I was like, "I'm still so confused. Like the size of my face is small." And then, but then I mentioned it to a Waygook, to a foreigner, and she was like, "Oh yeah." She's Welsh, and so she's got that funny. She's got that funny accent, like where she says, "Bugga." You know, when like she was like, yeah. She's like, oh yeah, they'll always tell you that you have small face. And I was like, what? What is this thing? I have no idea. I've never noticed like the
Did you ever get this, Scott? Did you ever get this?
I'm sorry, Scott.
Any compliment? I haven't heard anything from you for a while. So like, you ever get this thing where they're like, your face is small?
Yeah, you've been here for a while. So
I've had both, small and fat. I've had
fat face.
Korean friends that I haven't seen in a while, and they do the whole, they put their hands out, on opposite side of their face, like your face got wider, just saying that you've gained weight, basically. But I've had the opposite, too. It varies.
Why is it seen
skinny
as
face, fat
So
face?
the one story that Rebekah told me that tickled me was she was brushing her teeth, and apparently this woman was like standing there in the bathroom, and she's staring at her, and Rebekah like stopped brushing her teeth. She's like kind of like gave her a look like, "Can I help you?" And the woman was like, "Oh, Rebekah, so beautiful." And I was like, "Oh my God, I would be so creeped out by that if a dude did that to me."
Sometimes my students, if I use the bathroom in between classes,
oh, Adam, you're so beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, Adam, so handsome.
Do they tell you you're handsome all the time?
I get a handsome here and there.
Yeah, it's weird because like where I work, I get a lot of compliments, but they're all from middle-aged guys. I'm like, come on, thank you, but all right, enough. I'm handsome. Get over it.
Obsequious, that's the word.
My favorite story was my brother, when he used to live here, he was walking down the street in Sangnam-dong, and this car pulled over and looked at him, and he's like, "Where are you from? Are you American?" And my brother was like, "No, I'm Canadian." He's like, "Korea, number 1. Canada, number 2. And my brother was like, yeah, all right. And the guy was like, "No, Korea, number 1, Canada, number 2. And my brother was like, all right. And then he kept walking, and the car pulled off and turned right. And then all my brother heard was smash. And he looked over, and the guy had like plowed into like another car. And he was like, "Korea number 1? I don't think so."
That's the greatest story I've ever heard.
Is everybody okay? I want to.
No, nobody was hurt or anything. It was just,
he died.
I want the full story.
yeah, everyone died.
And
everyone died.
His last words were Korea number. What?
All right, your gold tooth. Your gold tooth. We got to talk about your gold tooth.
Show us the tooth.
You like it?
The camera.
All right, what happened there?
I love this tooth. It's so.
Tell us about it.
It's so beautiful.
So glamorous.
You have to admit. I said this.
You're a movie star.
I look. It's a very Korean thing. You always see Korean people with silver teeth, their back fillings.
So you had the option to get silver, and you went, nah, gold.
Well, he did. He couldn't reconstruct the tooth. Like there was actually no option. Well, I don't know why it wasn't silver. Yeah, I think it was just completely it was gone. I had no choice.
So what? Why did they have to dig it out?
Well, for years, that's another beautiful thing about Korea is that healthcare is so efficient and so inexpensive, and it's just I haven't been insured for years, in America. I work full time. I've never not had a job. But I've never had health. Not since I was 20, 21 or whatever. And so, but I had this tooth basically almost. I had 4 roommates at the time, and I remember one day I just ate something cold and it hurt. And it just hurt so much.
This is before we went to Vietnam, right?
This was years ago when it first started. It just turned black. So teeth.
No, but when you got it transferred.
Yeah, that was a couple days.
Yeah.
I remember I woke up that morning because I crashed at your house because I didn't want to go all the way to. I was nervous. I was traumatized, and I woke up and you were like, "Go, let's go get that tooth get pulled out of your head." And I started to cry, and you were just like, "Ugh." You didn't know. I was
because I didn't want to get in. I didn't want you to get an infection.
But why would you say that? That was the first thing. I was asleep, and you were just like, "Let's go get that tooth pulled out of your head." Sorry.
Yeah, that wasn't that was
insensitive.
Maybe I could have had more couth to me.
Yeah, you could have handled that much better.
I'm sorry about the
Let's go get that
language.
tooth pulled out of your neck.
Rebekah, it's okay. It's okay.
Why are you doing this?
So your year is almost finished here. What's your future plans? Are you planning on going home or staying in Korea? Or
I'm going to be home for like 10 minutes, and I'm going to be like, I got to get out of here.
10 minutes?
I'll probably be like a garbage man.
I'd feel the same if I was from Buffalo.
You're going to be a garbage man?
Or a stripper, maybe, or like our
Garbage woman.
Garbage person.
You're right. Sorry.
Garbage has no gender.
Garbage individual.
So you are going back to the States in May?
Yeah. It'll be nice. It'll be springtime.
And you have no plans on returning?
I'm going to miss you so much.
I want to return. I know I'm going to miss you too. Well, you're okay.
You bitch.
Tell us how you really feel.
Not as much as like
You bitch. I just poured my heart out to you, and you're like, yeah, you're okay.
You say that to
You're all
everybody.
right.
You told random people in Japan that they were your best friend every day.
Because I love everyone.
He's just a very loving person.
You probably told that to the monkeys in that monkey bar.
You know he did. He did not want to get out of that cage. They were like, okay, well, we're gonna like close the bar, and you're like dancing with the monkeys.
Those monkeys' hands were pretty cold, though. Remember?
It was freaky. I don't like primates because they're like they look.
We are
so
primates.
I know.
Small
Like,
hands. Smell like cabbage.
You've been hanging out with one for quite a while.
Monkey's uncle.
You went to Japan with probably the closest primate that you can go with.
You're like a girl.
So anyway, you're going to go back to the States. No, immediate plans on returning here.
Oh, I want to.
So you're going to try to find a job and everything back home.
When I want to come back, I've been heard that they aren't hiring as many teachers, and that scares the crap out of me because there's there's no jobs as good as this in America. Like I worked my ass off in America. I didn't make anything.
Are you worried about getting back into the States?
What do you mean?
You sound like you had a bit of an accent.
Oh God. Well, it is kind of like important. Like if you care about your country, like you have to be there.
Be the change. Be the change.
Like you can't.
You want in the world.
Exactly. Probably. I believe that's a quote from Justin Timberlake. Correct. Be the change.
Justin Bieber or Justin Timberlake?
I get them mixed up from time to time. JT's God. Don't you dare.
Besmirch Justin Timberlake.
All right. So I love Rebekah. She's my best friend in the world. And that's, what do you want to say? What do you want to say? What do you have anything to plug or like anything to say?
Can't think of it.
Do you have any advice?
Dr. Cha. That's the dentist that fixed my tooth. Dr. Cha.
There you go, Dr. Cha.
He is incredible. He didn't speak. I went to him specifically because people told me that he could speak English, and
He lied.
he didn't.
He lied.
I use this tooth every day.
I guarantee you there's more than one Dr. Cha out there in this country. I'm just saying if you look up Dr. Cha, you're probably going to get a few in the search results. So Adam, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Adam Maxwell Kent on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, Everstalwart. And I'm also on Instagram, Everstalwart as well. And I'm on the Changwoner Podcast.
Really?
And I don't
Breaking news.
I don't even
Stop the presses.
I don't even know what's that. Adam Kent at Changwoner?
Just Adam. At Changwoner.com.
Adam at Changwoner.com.
And Phil, how can people get in touch with you?
Philip on at Changwoner.com.
Yeah.
Changwoner.com. On Facebook, Philip Wayne Stanley.
It's a good name.
And Rebekah, you're heading back to the States, so how can people keep in contact with you if they want to?
Well, on Tinder for a couple months.
On Tinder. Only for a couple months? You're not going to do that when you get back?
No.
No.
It'll be like 100,000.
What's your Twitter name?
I don't have
It's just Rebekah.
Twitter.
Just your
Look
name.
at the veins I put in there.
Susie Durkins on Instagram.
Okay.
It's fun.
See the veins?
And how about on Facebook?
Rebekah Calhoun on Facebook.
Right.
Thank you.
Rebekah Calhoun on Facebook. So that's CALHOYN.
HOUN.
UN. Sorry. Don't know why I wrote it down wrong. All right, I'm Scott, and you can get a hold of me on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook just at Changwoner or Scott@changwoner.com. So, Rebekah, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much.
10-4, good, buddy.
And we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Changwoner Podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode.